Can you win long-term disability if your doctor won't say you're disabled? This question comes up more than almost any other question in long-term disability cases. What if my doctor doesn't think I'm disabled? Can I still win my claim? Am I just stuck? Let's look at the hard truths of ERISA law. Hi, I'm Brandon Osterbind, and I'm a disability lawyer here in Virginia, and I help people make sense of their ERISA disability claims. If this video is helpful to you, please do me a favor and like the video and subscribe to our channel. Today I'm going to talk about a hard truth in long-term disability cases. Misunderstanding this issue has ruined a lot of otherwise valid claims. So let's start with an honest answer. If your treating doctor does not support your disability, your chances of winning long-term disability benefits are extremely low. Not because you're not suffering, not because your symptoms aren't real, but because of how disability claims are actually evaluated. Long-term disability cases, especially those governed by ERISA, are not decided based on how bad you feel. They are decided based on medical opinions, functional evidence, and documentation. And your doctor sits at the center of all of that. Here is what we often see. Someone comes in, tells me about a chronic pain, fatigue, cognitive issues, or mental symptoms that clearly interfere with their ability to work. But when we look at the medical records, the doctor's notes say things like, patient is doing okay, the symptoms aren't stable, they can return to work with no restrictions. That disconnect is a problem. Insurance companies never read between the lines. They read exactly what was written. And if your own doctor doesn't certify your restrictions or limitations, the insurance company will almost always deny the claim. Now, as a lawyer, it's my job to know what the law actually says, because this matters. Most employer-provided long-term disability plans are governed by the Employer Retirement Income Security Act, or otherwise known as ERISA. Under ERISA and the Department of Labor's claims procedure rules, insurance companies are allowed to evaluate disability claims based on the medical evidence in the file, including the opinions of your treating physicians. And importantly, ERISA does not require an insurance company to accept your subjective complaints alone. They're permitted to weigh your treating doctor's opinions, any objective testing, any functional assessments, consistency in the medical records. If your treating doctor does not support your disability, the insurer is allowed to rely on that, and courts will routinely uphold those decisions. That's why this issue isn't about arguing with your doctor. It's about making sure that your doctor has all the right information. Here's the mistake that people make. They assume that their doctor knows how their symptoms affect their work. They assume that their doctor understands the actual demands of their job. They assume silence means support. Listen, I've worked with some incredible providers in the past. One thing is certain, they're not mind readers. Doctors treat patients. They do not automatically assess occupational function unless they're asked to, and unless they're given the right tools to do it. So that begs the question, what are your options if your doctor isn't supporting disability? First, don't argue with your doctor. This is not about confrontation. It's about clarity. Instead, let's have a more specific conversation with your doctor. Explain, not emotionally, but practically, what you can no longer do. Instead of saying, I'm tired, say, I can't sit for more than 30 minutes. Instead of saying, I'm foggy, say, I can't concentrate long enough to complete a task. Second, ask for objective or functional testing when that is appropriate. That can include functional capacity evaluations, neuropsychological testing, cognitive or physical assessments, specialized evaluations that are tied to your condition. Objective testing gives your doctor something solid to rely on, and it shifts the conversation from belief to evidence. Third, and this is critical, ask your doctor the right question. Don't ask, do you think I'm disabled? Ask this, If testing shows I cannot perform the main duties of my occupation, would you be willing to document restrictions and limitations consistent with that? Most doctors are far more comfortable answering that question because now you're asking them to interpret evidence, not take a side. If your doctor still refuses to support your disability after objective testing and clear documentation, that is also important information. At that point, you may need to consider a referral to a specialist or a second treating provider or a doctor who's more willing to fully evaluate function and not just a diagnosis. Because in long-term disability cases, medical silence is treated as medical opposition. And here's the final piece that people miss. Under ERISA, if your claim is denied, the appeal record is usually the only record the court will ever review. You don't get a second chance to fix medical opinions. That's why aligning your medical support before and during the claim process matters so much. I'll leave you with this. If your doctor doesn't think that you're disabled, it doesn't automatically mean that you're out of options. It does mean that you need to slow down, get strategic, and make sure that your medical evidence actually matches your reality. Long-term disability, specifically ERISA, is an incredible resource that we're given, but it's not as easy as some people hope it to be. If you're dealing with this issue and don't know how to approach it, reach out to a trusted attorney. They're the ones who are experienced in this field and who have seen what works and what does not work. If you're looking for more resources pertaining to long-term disability, click here and watch the one-line appeal letter. In that video, I explain some of the things that I've seen in my experience as an ERISA lawyer here in Virginia. And lastly, if this video has been helpful, do me a favor and click like on this video and subscribe to our channel.